up everyone? So today's movie I'm discussing on the channel is the new legacy sequel to the much beloved body swap comedy from 2003, Freaky Friday. This one is called Freakier Friday and is directed by Nisha Ganatra. Fun little side note for you guys, I actually managed to have a sit-down interview with Nisha discussing the new Freakier Friday film for Film Hounds. I'll pop a link to my interview of her up there if you want to check that out. She was really lovely to talk to. This film is set 22 years after the events of the first film, and once again, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan return to play mother-daughter Tess and Anna Coleman. Anna herself is now a single mother to a teenage daughter of her own called Harper, who's played in this film by Julia Butters. Anna starts dating a new British beau called Eric, who's played in this film by The Good Place's Manny Jacinto. He has a teenage daughter of his own called Lily, played by Sophia Hammonds. These two girls don't get along with each other at school, but are soon to become sisters when Eric pops the question to Anna. Tensions start mounting as the wedding day approaches, and the four of them all have an encounter with this fortune teller called Madame Jeanne, who prophesizes the body swapping, and bish bash bosh, the four of them all wake up in each other's bodies the next day, which just so happens to be a Friday. As for who swaps bodies with who, let's see if I can get this right. Okay, Grandma Tess, aka Jamie Lee Curtis, wakes up in the body of the British girl Lily, and vice versa. Lily is now in Jamie Lee Curtis's body. And then Anna, aka Lindsay Lohan, wakes up in the body of her teenage daughter Harper, and vice versa. So essentially, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are now teenage girls, and the girls wake up in the bodies of, you know, their mother and their soon-to-be grandmother-in-law. Yeah, keeping up? It does get a bit confusing. The beauty of the first film was that it was just two people swapping bodies, okay? It was simple and clean, but for some reason, when you've got four people swapping bodies and then having two different narrative strands, it does start to get a bit confusing. So yeah, what do I think of this new Freaky Friday film? Oh, that's fun to say, Freaky Friday film. Yeah. We love some alliteration. As far as legacy sequels go, all I can really say about this film was that it was fine. Like, there is some fun to be had watching this film, but it kind of feels like the only reason this movie was made was so that Disney could, you know, churn something out that was easy and nostalgic, and they could sort of capitalize on the fact that Lindsay Lohan is sort of having a bit of a comeback in her career, and also Jamie Lee Curtis is having this renaissance of her career post-Oscar win for Everything Everywhere. Because this film isn't really saying anything all that different from the first film, but it is a fun trip around the block again to see Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis play these beloved roles from the 2003 film again. What's cute about the film is that because it is taking place 22 years since the first film came out, is that Lindsay Lohan herself is now a mother in real life, but she's also a mother in this film, so there's that natural progression of her learning the struggles of raising a teenage girl. And Jamie Lee Curtis Tess is now the groovy grandma who's very much the peacekeeper, trying to keep all three generations of this family together. And I will say the best scenes of this film were the scenes with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis sharing the screen together again, because even 22 years after the previous film, their dynamic and their chemistry is still as strong as ever. Their scenes together, even when they're playing teenage girls, were my favorite scenes because they're both very good at physical comedy. And you can see that they're having so much fun working together again. That joy that they have just radiates off the screen. I can't really say that about the scenes with Julia Butters and Sophia Hammonds. While they are perfectly fine in this, they were a character pairing that just wasn't as interesting. They felt a bit stilted in comparison, and every time we cut back to their characters, I was feeling a little miffed because everyone's tuning in for this movie for Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. Okay, they're the reason that people are showing up for this film. But because we've got this extra body swap plot that runs parallel to Lindsay's and Jamie Lee's, it just leaves the film feeling uneven and overly long. This film has got an extra 20 minutes on the first film, and a lot of it just feels like padding. And I'm sure the die-hard fans of the first film will appreciate a lot of the nods and references to the previous film. And amazingly, pretty much every character from the 2003 film, apart from the granddad because he died in real life, everyone returns for this sequel, but none of them are really here for anything more than a glorified cameo. Like, they're essentially human Easter eggs brought back because nostalgia. And I'm sure they were all happy to be involved in this project, even if they are just set dressing. But yeah, I can't say that any of them really contribute anything substantial to the story. Like, there's this entire subplot surrounding Chad Michael Murray's character, Jake, which is completely inconsequential. Basically, he shows up in this film just so the girls can borrow his car. His whole inclusion in this film is the most unnecessary and flimsy detour. And like I said, all it does is just pad out the runtime. But for some reason, the writers just had to shoehorn his character into the story. Like, it wouldn't have been so bad if he just showed up for one scene, but when he keeps showing up in subsequent scenes, I was really feeling like, God, they're really trying to force him into this movie. Even though I was asking myself, why is he here? He doesn't need to be here. I like Chad Michael Murray in the first film, but he didn't add anything of value to the sequel, so he kind of stands out for the wrong reasons. But yeah, the thing that I was really struggling with this whole body swap thing in this movie was when the British girl wakes up as Jamie Lee Curtis, why doesn't Jamie Lee Curtis have a British accent? And vice versa, because in the way I see it is like we learn our accents through our environment and we sort of learn how to pronounce words a particular way. We store it in our minds and then we project it externally to the world. Now, why is it when the British girl is Jamie Lee Curtis is still saying things like an American? She's saying British words like rubbish, but she's saying it with an American accent. And I don't understand why it's changed to American, because, yeah, I don't feel like our mouths and bodies are what create the accents. I think the accents come from the mind, if anything. And if the mind of the British girl is in an American body, I don't understand why it's not coming out as British. For example, I am British, but I'm going to speak in an overly British accent to prove a point here. So if I start thinking out loud certain British words like water, brolly, knickers, cheeky, knackered, pissed, bloke, fish and chips, then why would it come out like this? Water, brolly, knickers, cheeky, knackered, pissed, bloke, fish and chips. So yeah, I do have to ask myself, why would there be a disconnect between the mind and the mouth of these characters? So yeah, there was a lot of crossed wires, a lot of stuff that I didn't understand, and yeah, I just want to know, was it just me? Am I being thick? Like, I just want some reassurance that it wasn't just me that found this whole decision to have the characters speak the way they do confusing, because I thought it was confusing. If you can explain it in that comment section below, feel free to. All right then, shall we ask them 3 questions? Firstly, would I watch it again? I don't think so. Like I said, I just thought this film was fine, but I have no need to ever revisit it, especially when the first one is just so much better. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? I mean, if you're looking for just a nice, easy throwback type of film, then you probably will at least like this film. I'm not sure if you'll love it. It's certainly familiar, but I wouldn't go as far as saying it's fresh. It's just a light-hearted Disney film with good performances from Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis, which I imagine is the reason why most people want to check this film out anyways. They're really good in this, and that might be enough for you. Plus, there are plenty of fun sequences in this film, as well as lots of vibrant costume choices, and also the soundtrack in this was full of pop-tastic bangers. Like, there's not one, but 2 Chappell Roan songs featured throughout this film, which I certainly did appreciate. But as someone who is a fan of the 2003 film, I don't really see Freakier Friday as anything more than a cash-in sequel. Like I said, it's fine, it's perfectly watchable, but I'm not going to go out of my way to recommend it to my family and friends. And third question, what score to give it out of 10? Freakier Friday is a fittingly jumbled legacy sequel, and I don't mean that as a compliment. I'm saying that it's jumbled in a messy way. While it's great to see Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis back together again, and you can clearly tell just from the outtakes of this film that this film was clearly made with a lot of love and passion for the 2003 film. The problem is the additional body swap narrative with Julia Butters and Sophia Hammonds overcomplicates the winning formula of the first film. At times I was forgetting who was who. While I want to give them credit for trying to mix it up, overall the film just felt too cluttered. Put simply, it's just not as tidy as the 2003 film. So I'm going to give Freakier Friday a score of 3.5 out of 10. But as always guys, it is just one bloke's opinion. I would love to hear your thoughts on Freakier Friday. Have you seen it? If you have, what do you make of it? I am curious to hear what you guys have to say about this one. Whatever you have to say, let your voice be heard in that comment section down below. If you've enjoyed the vid, help me out by hitting that little thumbs up button for me. If you want more movie, TV, and Oscars related content, don't forget to click that subscribe button. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Hearfield, and I'll see you next time.